So I really can't have work-life balance? Business Questions Answered Here, episode number 32. This is Business Questions Answered Here. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, an independent business strategist with over 20 years of experience using that experience and knowledge to hopefully answer some of your questions and save you some of the pain and hassle that I personally had to suffer. My business life has been filled with plenty of wins, even more losses, and the realization that knowledge is power, and I am allowing you to gain some of your own power by transferring knowledge I personally learned myself, plus input from other veteran business people. More information on how you can get your business questions showcased on this podcast or about any of the business services my company offers, visit the website, businessquestionsansweredhere.com. Today's episode is sponsored by Blinkist. For more on the sponsor, hang on for just a bit, but first, let's get into today's question. And the question we have here was submitted by Seth, asking about the dreaded work-life balance question again. So we'll address it again. Here's what he asked. I started a tech consulting business with a college buddy. He is single and all about living the entrepreneurial lifestyle. I've been married 6 years and have 2 children under 4, and I like to stay married. Our business has a chance of taking off and becoming a great source of income, but there is a lot of work that must go into getting there, and I don't see how to make time for that work and for my home life. How does one find the mythical work-life balance? So we're back on this thing again, work-life balance. Just like the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, and the Crystal Skulls, work-life balance can only be found in a convoluted screenplay starring Harrison Ford and some questionable choices of female co-stars. Work-life balance itself, as sold by the gurus out there for programs costing only $9.97, does not exist. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It'd be awesome if it did, but it just don't. Work-life balance as reality of your work allowing you a great life and vice versa is difficult. And it comes at a huge price, a price few are willing to pay when the bill comes due, despite plenty of people fawning over it when they see it on the menu. And so I actually addressed this in this podcast before. Last time in this podcast, I addressed it often, but it was episode 3 of the podcast back in July of 2016, where Susan asked a question, is work-life balance even possible? So, as I said, I address this issue often, mostly because I have problems with it myself, being a person who tends to work a lot, but still wants to spend as much time as possible with family. So, since I suffer for this, it's hard for me to actually give you an answer that's non-biased or non-binding in my case, but it is based on my opinion on what's going on. So the answer back then, and in basically every presentation I give when this question comes up, is that there's no such thing. But I listened back to the actual episode, and it was really hard to listen to. It was a rambling, convoluted mess. It was episode 3, after all, so I will kind of just find the legs of the whole podcast. So I'm going to readdress the issue based on the readdressing of the question as Seth asked the question for this week. And spoiler alert, the answer is still no. There is no such thing as work-life balance. There are, however, varying degrees of people who have figured out how much work they need to perform at a certain level to get a certain level of life, and how much life they are willing to sacrifice in order to pursue so much work. And there you go. The price you pay is sacrifice. You can only do so much work in a day and only so much family time in a day, and you only have so much day. So somewhere along the line, there'll be an ask for something to happen on your family side or your work side, where you'll have to give up some family time or some work time to get it done. Most people fail to set a requirement adequately for either or. Either I will do this much work or I'll do this much play. And most people who think they set the two don't allow enough time in the two to cross back and forth. That actually makes it worse when you say you set enough time for both issues and then you find that does not work as well as you thought it was going to be. So let me be perfectly clear. Again, from my perspective, there is no such thing as balancing your work life and your life. There are 2 different things that will always be in conflict. There's only the threshold of pain you're willing to endure when the boundaries of the 2 get back and forth and actively get in the way. One will break into the other, and you'll find the conditions are going to be crazy when they happen. How much work is needed to live the life you want? How much living can you do based on the work that you want to do? You don't have to sacrifice one for the other completely. There will be sacrifices here and there. You have to give up a lazy weekend when you need to work on a last-minute build-out for a big project. You'll have to go out of town and travel on one of those key Tuesday night game nights that you like to have for consistency. And it'll never be perfect, but you can plan ahead to lessen the pain of what's going to happen. You can deal with the issues of explaining to whomever it matters to in your life how much work is and how things get in the way and how you'll make it up to them. And for your bosses who may or may not care so much about your balancing your home life, they will care once they see your work is slipping and how much money they'll be losing in those cases. What you need to do is try to set a consistent schedule and stick to it for both your work and your life. If either seems to require more attention, all of a sudden, you need to take some time to gauge whether this is a temporary thing, a big project coming up, or whether this is a permanent thing, some big issue that's happening in your life or your work that's ready for transition that you want to keep going. You may find you may need to withdraw from your life a bit more to achieve your work. And yes, some parts will suffer there. Or you may choose to back away from pursuing so much work to live your life. And maybe something will suffer there as well. It is a tough choice when it comes down to it, but it's a choice that you'll have to make at one point in time to maintain your sanity and, of course, your family. And that's all I got for that one, Seth. I once again say that you can't have work-life balance. It's not possible in the sense that I think you're asking about. There are ways to balance your work and your life, but having the quote-unquote work-life balance where you're always home at 5 o'clock and have time to coach all your kids' baseball games and have things going on, plus be a top executive, those things don't always mesh. You'll have to give something up and make some allowances for something. You may have to make less money. You may have to spend more time at home. You may have to spend less time at home to make more money. And it all comes down to what the actual priorities are. You can figure that out on your own. And please hook us up with some information on how this thing goes as you continue on. I hope you find some way to balance things out. And I hope that your company does take off and does become a great source of income, because that might help you out with your work-life balance. Working for yourself means you can make the hours. It also means you can overdo the hours as well. So this week, we are once again sponsored by Blinkist. And Blinkist has been one of the coolest things that I've found over the years, because I like to read. And because I have work, life, and just time crunches in general, I don't necessarily have time to read full volumes of anything. Blinkist takes care of that for you. You can pick it up for free app on Android or for your iPhone, and you can use it on your computer as well. It's a web-based browser, so you can get all the cool books that all the cool kids are reading right now and read them yourself. You read them in what they have called blinks. They take every single book and condense the chapters, condense the ideas into blinks. And you can listen to the blinks 1, 2, 3 in a row, or you can read them as well. That's perfect for you. So you can actually say you read the book, even though it's a summary, or you read the book, even though you listen to some summaries audio-wise. It's a great tool, and you should check it out. We have a great deal for you. You just need to go to our website, Business Questions Answered Here, and click on the sponsors link for Blinkist. Business Questions Answered Here /Blinkist as well. It is spelled Blinkist. Blinkist is the coolest tool you'll find for all those people who say they read multiple books in a month, multiple books in a week. You can do the same thing, even with less time available, by listening to the blinks, listen to the great descriptions of the big points in all the great books. It's at Blinkist. You can get a big discount on us. BusinessQuestionsAnsweredHere.com, and click on the link for Blinkist. So the question that we're asking this week, which is obvious, we don't think you can have work-life balance. So I'm asking you, are you still trying to make work-life balance possible? Do you believe that despite what I say, despite what real experts say, despite what some of the big-time people who are really achieving will say, you have to give something up? Do you think you're still going to make it work out? You can let us know by giving answers in the comments for this podcast episode today. You, of course, help us grow and maintain the podcast by visiting our sponsors and, of course, stopping by the webpage, which is businessquestionsansweredhere.com, for more information about the podcast, archives, subscription information, and submitting your question for review, or maybe we have a business thing that we can actually help you out with. Check out the website, once again, businessquestionsansweredhere.com. And once again, I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, eagerly awaiting your business question to answer here.